In the news tonight, changing the tint on some high-end vehicles could cost thousands of dollars. Barbados to host the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission Conference. 4 artists awarded grants of $20,000 each. And in sports, CWI working on an action plan to make West Indies cricket great again.
The headline news is brought to you by National Transformation Initiative, shaping the Starbajan.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Lisa Broom. Thank you for tuning in. In our top story tonight, while complying with new vehicle window tinting regulations will cost on average a few $100s, for some owners of some high-end vehicles, the payout skyrockets to several thousand. That's according to former president of the Barbados Automobile Dealers Association, Mark Hamilton. He explains that in some of those vehicles, the windows are factory tinted with the tint actually built into the glass. That means, he says, making any window deemed to be too heavily tinted compliant would involve removing the glass altogether. He adds this would not only be expensive, but would also depend on the availability of a replacement.
Glass is a delicate item. It's generally shipped, in very large boxes, which are padded and so on to ensure the glass gets from one location next in one piece. It's often shipped by sea in order to get the cost down, and therefore there's a significant timeline, generally speaking, between order and availability in Barbados. So there are several issues which I believe that the powers that be will have to examine as they roll out this new tint legislation, some of which may not have been considered at the time.
Mr. Hamilton says the Dealers Association has been paying close attention to the public debate on the legislation, which states specific degrees of tint permitted on vehicles: 25% for rear windows, 20% for front side windows, and 70% for windscreens to ensure maximum visibility. He believes the authorities understand there may be cases where they may have to take a step back and re-examine components of the tint law and modify it accordingly.
I can't speak with absolute authority on it, but I mean, a windscreen can run anywhere between, $12 to $3,000 or $4,000, depending on $1,200 to $3,000 or $4,000, depending on the the size of the windscreen, the type of the windscreen. The windscreens now come with a lot of extra technology in them to do with lane, changing and with the cameras and the sensors, and there's a lot of additional equipment, additional technology. It's not just a piece of glass like the old days. So, there's several hurdles to overcome. And again, as I said, one of those will be potentially the timing of this and the cost.
Chief of Staff of the Barbados Defence Force, or BDF, Brigadier Carlos Lovell, says the organization must adapt to deal with the ever-evolving threats of today. He was speaking during the BDF's 46th anniversary church service yesterday under the theme Committed and Courageous in Service at the St. Matthias Anglican Church.
The climate crisis is intensifying. Natural disasters, transnational crime challenges our borders. Cyber attacks target our institutions in increasing frequency, and global instability tests the resilience of small island states such as ours. Cognizant of these perilous and uncertain times, the Barbados Defence Force cannot and will not meet tomorrow's challenges with yesterday's tools.
As such, Brigadier Lovell says the government is moving with alacrity to modernize the force across land, sea, air and cyber domains in the interest of national security and territorial integrity.
We are upgrading our maritime assets to better protect our maritime borders and our blue economy. We are enhancing surveillance and communication systems to give commanders a real-time awareness for faster decision making and that tactical advantage. We are integrating cyber defense because, as we all know, the next battlefield will be as digital as it is physical.
Barbados is hosting the first ever Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission, or CICAD, conference to be held in the English-speaking Caribbean. It starts tomorrow and runs until Thursday at the Accra Beach Hotel and Spa at Rockley in Christchurch, setting up the island to play a pivotal role in shaping policy to govern drug use, abuse and trafficking in the region. The conference is the 26th annual meeting of the CICAD's Demand Reduction Experts Group, being co-hosted by the Organization of American States. Manager of the National Council on Substance Abuse, Betty Hunt, explains that CICAD has elected Barbados as chair, the first for an English-speaking Caribbean country. Representatives from 33 countries in this hemisphere are coming together to consider drug use and trends, as well as the technical support required to best respond to what's happening in the market. Ms. Hunt and fellow panelists, Director of Clinical Services at Verdun and Marina House, Alison Gotip, as well as Addict in Recovery, Roger Streaks, were speaking on the People's Business last night about the growing problem of substance abuse in Barbados.
The lack of research we have generally, especially in the Caribbean, the English-speaking Caribbean, when we're looking to see for stats, for trends, we tend to look outside of the Caribbean, outside of our neighborhood. And so having countries in English-speaking Caribbean and Latin America and South America in that close proximity come together and share experiences, it presents a wonderful opportunity for Barbados to help craft policy going forward. So some of the topics we'll be looking at is something that you asked earlier, the role of women in the whole issue of drug use. Is it using, is it trafficking? What is the role and what is the cost to women to be involved in the drug trade?
Well, Barbadians intent on attending CARIFESTA 15 will be in for a treat. That's because there will be a variety of cuisine from across the region and friends of the region. That's according to CARIFESTA 15's Culinary Arts Coordinator Jennifer Barrow, who says they have dubbed it Roots, Resistance, Recovery and Righteousness on a Plate. She was speaking as a guest on Morning Barbados.
Food is not just about being served, it's having an experience.
Yes.
It's about having an experience. It's a cultural experience. We tend to think of all of the other arts, but cooking is actually a traditional art where you can find around the world. So there's that common ground of food. As you know, Pearson, when you're getting together with friends or even inviting in someone for business,
yes,
you tend to do it over
around
food.
That's right.
Food. Food is a big networking environment.
Coming up on Newsnight, 4 Barbadian-based visual artists awarded fellowships. 4 artists have been awarded unrestricted grants of $20,000 US, along with an additional $5,000 travel grant. Anna Gibson, Simone Asia, Russell Watson and Ronald Williams are recipients of the Fresh Milk Art Platforms Award for 4 Barbadian-based visual artist fellowships with support from the Clara Lionel Foundation. They've received the awards for demonstrating commitment to their practices, working across painting, sculpture, drawing, moving image and digital media. Each fellow will benefit from sustained support during a 10-month program from September 2025 until June 2026, culminating in a 2026 exhibition curated by Dr. Natalie Maguire. Fresh Milk's founding director, Annalie Davis, says it is a privilege to work closely with the Clara Lionel Foundation to offer the unprecedented level of economic support in the local visual arts sector.
So at the end of the 10 months, we will then be showcasing what has come out of their fellowship. So that's a very tangible outcome. Also investing in the opportunity to travel. So seeing how that will influence their broadened network and increase visibility. And there's going to be production of writing, so greater awareness of the work that they're doing. And the need to partner with spaces like Clara Lionel, and hopefully this will provoke other kinds of conversations that will happen with representatives from the Ministries of Culture or the Department of Culture and other artists that are working locally.
Head of Programs and Impact at the Clara Lionel Foundation, Amina Doherty, says they're pleased to support the island's arts and culture industry.
This whole initiative is not something that we have done alone. We've been in partnership with the Andrew Mellon Foundation, which is the largest funder of the arts in the United States, and more specifically their Humanities in Place program. And so this idea of that Annalie talked about, seeing artists as knowledge producers, meant a lot to us for the reasons for supporting this work. But also a big part of the way that CLF is thinking about why and how we support arts and creative production is this idea of sustainability. Both financial sustainability, but also this idea that we are, as Annalie said, we are dealing with some of the most complex issues of our time.
A transition program with a bold name, Bridge to the World, is rewriting the future for at-risk boys in Barbados. The program, executed by Men Empowerment Network Support, or MENS, was designed to assist those between the ages of 15 and 20 who've exited the educational system without formal qualifications. President of MENS, Fabian Sargent, says the initiative was born out of research from the Criminal Justice Unit, revealing the troubling reality that too many young men are facing. Speaking during the transition ceremony where the youth received awards and certificates, Mr. Sargent said during the past 3 months, the participants were given the tools to change their lives.
Bridge to the World, coming out of that research, I thought it necessary, along with our team, to pull together this project that bridges the gap between these boys leaving school or when they leave school and the professional world. There's that gap where these boys are home doing nothing. Parents have to go out to work. The block seems more attractive. Negativity, guns, drugs, all of these things.
He says the idea is to assist them with their future goals so they'll be ready to face the world of work.
At this point in time, we're in conversation with the Ministry of Youth through their programs there, where they can dovetail into those programs. And for those boys that will be interested in entrepreneurship, trying to get them some small grants that they can then get further support and that they can move on into the world. This would not have been possible without the Human Development Grant through the Job Start Plus program. And I really want to thank them for really assisting us.
Primary school-aged students interested in science now have a new book to assist them through the learning process. Author of Integrated Science for Young Caribbean Scientists, Book 1, Ingrid Armstrong Walcott, says she wrote the book after being inspired by a colleague who hinted that there was a need for such a text. A teacher herself with over 25 years of experience, Ms. Armstrong Walcott says the book gives students the opportunity to explore, be creative, and satisfy their inquisitiveness. She was speaking as a guest on Morning Barbados.
We are transforming education, and I have heard in recent times a lot about STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And in even more recent times, they've added art. And this book has integrated all of those subjects so that children get comfortable with the different areas of the curriculum and how they're interlocked.
A St. George man charged with a number of drug and firearm-related matters has been remanded to Barbados Prison Service Dodds. 31-year-old Akeem Justin Lane of Flat Rock in St. George was not required to plead to the indictable charges of possession of a firearm and 7 rounds of ammunition. He was also not required to plead to possession of 1.038 kilograms of cannabis and intent to supply and traffic in the illegal drug, which have an estimated street value of $4,152. The offences all allegedly occurred on August 2nd. Lane appeared before Chief Magistrate Ian Weeks in the District A Criminal Court No. 1. The matter was transferred to the Oistins Magistrates Court, and Lane is expected to appear there on September 8th.
Sports Night is brought to you by Power Inn. Pause is power. And by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
Let's head over to the sports studio where Mark Seal is standing by with the details. Good evening, Mark.
Well, very good evening to you. A wish list to bring West Indies cricket out of the current state of inefficiency has been formulated from out of the recent two-day summit in Trinidad and Tobago. That emergency meeting, called by Cricket West Indies President Dr. Kishore Shallow, brought together the Cricket Strategy and Officiating Committee, along with former and present West Indies players and other stakeholders to help implement immediate structural reforms. CEO of Cricket West Indies, Chris Daring, estimated that about 100 issues were identified at the meeting, but he highlighted the top tier.
Amongst the top 5 facilities for the development of our cricketers is, as Miles says, it's systemic. So, but we're talking about things like facilities at every level for the development of our cricketers, proper practice pitches across the region, the quality of our domestic tournaments would have been highlighted. There's definitely a skills deficiency at various levels that are, really don't get highlighted until they reach international level, and then you see the glaring deficiencies vis-a-vis our international counterparts, which again is systemic because it's very difficult, as the batting coach pointed out today, it's very difficult to change habits when you're getting somebody who has made so many runs at regional level, but clearly have deficiencies when it comes to the international level. It's very hard to change them in just a couple of weeks, or especially during a series. So it's a systemic issue, so we have to try and address the issues that we're facing much earlier from a technical development perspective. There are issues surrounding strength and conditioning, which again points back to potentially facilities that are available to our youngsters and our emerging players, A teams, etc. So those would be some of the highlights which would have been pointed out.
Mr. Daring made it clear that the meeting wasn't just a talk shop, as the plan is to move swiftly forward with those recommendations.
We'll be taking these action plans out of this meeting. We will have our own 2-day retreat to delve into the action plans in more detail, cost them, try and pull together budgets, because we're going through that budgeting process as we speak, and look at what we will present to the Cricket West Indies board, first obviously to the cricket committee, to get their blessings as to what we want to do, to really bring life to some of the action plans and ideas and thoughts that have been put forward over the last 2 days. So that's our role as management. The role of the cricket committee, obviously led by Enoch, will be to help guide on the policies that the board will deliberate on, that we will want to implement over the next few months, short, medium and long-term plans.
Now, one of the stakeholders, cricket legend Brian Lara, contends ultimate success will not be achieved in the short term.
I'm hoping, as Clive said, that some of the recommendations made by the coaches and the people that are involved, even us as former players, will be taken on board. It's a long road. It's not something that's going to happen tomorrow. It was not about the 27 runs. If it was 57 or 107, would we be feeling any better? I don't think so. It's the fact that we've got something to address, and for us to get back on top or to be a competitive nation in world cricket, we've got to address these situations and address them shortly, quickly, and hopefully we can reap the benefit in years to come.
Captain Gadsden Bowens expects to lead from the front as Barbados prepare to defend their title in the 2025 edition of the CWI Regional Under-17 Rising Stars 2-day tournament. The wicketkeeper batsman of the Lodge School will lead the 14-member squad in Trinidad and Tobago for the August 10th to September 2nd tournament, which also includes a 50-over component. The Signia Globe Financial Inc. Barbados side narrowly missed out on completing the double last year after reinforced their must-win 50-over match against hosts, Trinidad and Tobago, to be abandoned. The team, which departed last evening, will be under the guidance of experienced coach Dexter Toppin, assisted by Nemo Win.
A lot of pressure, but the pressure is we're all going to get there. it's good to know that we go in there as defending champions, to know that we got something to fight for. My personal goals for the competition, I think that I should achieve my goals. I want to get more dismissals and I want to get more turns as well. So for me to get those things, I have to do the basics right, stay disciplined, and I should get those things.
Now, the first Barbados fixture in the two-day tournament is tomorrow against hosts Trinidad from 10 a.m. Meanwhile, the third and decisive one-day international between West Indies and Pakistan is also tomorrow in Trinidad and Tobago in that ODI series. It's set for 9:30 a.m. with live coverage on MCTV's ESPN channel 308. Christchurch got off to a winning start in the 2025 Block T20 League, beating hosts St. John by 7 wickets in their South Zone clash at Gall Hill recently. Sent into bat, St. John were bowled out for 102 of 19.5 overs. There were only 3 double-figure scores, with Malik Amy leading with 20, Malachi Mason 19, and Captain Akeem McCollin 16. For Christchurch, Jaden Norville took 3 wickets, while 2 went to Davion Dottin, Kobe Brown, and skipper Taquan Hazelwood each. CBC's Melissa Farley took a look at those St. John wickets.
First ball of the match and the first wicket to go. Travion J. Marie LBW to Davion Dottin. A slight delay from the umpire, and J. Marie was not too pleased. The final decision was a bad start for St. John, but a good one for Christchurch. 38 runs now on the board before the second wicket fell. Malik Amy, with a top score of 20 to his name, was caught by a Kobe Earl off Jaden Norville. 29 more runs down the innings at 67 for 2. The third victim would go. St. John's captain Akeem McCollin, caught by Norville this time around for 16. And Gregory Angus has his man. At 70 for 3, keeper to keeper, Malik Mason stumped by Madison Maxwell for 19, giving Taquan Hazelwood his first scalp. Hazelwood's second wicket was that of Jamal Joseph for 2. LBW was the call, and Joseph needed to walk. The St. John team was now on 74 for 5. The next to go was Joshua Husbands for 4. In the air, but not far enough. He was caught by Kobe Brown off Norville. The score 77 for 6 after 15.2 overs. With just 2 more runs added to the score, Deshaun Williams was bowled by Norville for just those 2 runs. He was St. John's 7th wicket to fall. In 18.3 overs, Shakir Garnes, with 7 runs to his name, was caught by keeper Maxwell as Dottin claimed his second wicket, 96 for 8 the score at this stage. Shaquan Waldron was able to add just 1 run to the tally when he was bowled by Brown with just 2 balls left in St. John's innings. Then Brown wrapped it up with the following ball when Earl took a good catch. Jaden Bell gone for a duck, leaving Shaquan Padmore unbeaten on 9 as the St. John men were bowled out for 102 of 19.5 overs. Melissa Farley, CBC Sports.
The Afrexim Bank says its sponsorship of the Guaba Awards is more than just financial support. It's a statement about the future of Africa-Caribbean relations. At the official nominee announcement of the Guaba Awards, Afrexim Assistant Manager of Client Relations, Raymond Ward, proudly announced their role as a sponsor for the first ever staging of the event in the Caribbean. They say the partnership fits perfectly with their mission to connect Africa and its diaspora.
So similarly, events like the Grow, Unite, Build Africa Awards play a crucial role in raising awareness and fostering meaningful engagement across our communities, businesses and organizations. Afrexim Bank therefore remains a proud sponsor, a very proud sponsor of the Guaba Awards ceremony, which is directly aligned with our Global Africa strategy, aiming to foster these relationships and deepen and promote prosperity and highlight the success of our people across the globe.
He says since setting up operations in Barbados, the bank has worked to open new markets and strengthen business ties.
Since the establishment of our office in 2023, we have credit approved over $700 million in deals to deploy throughout the Caribbean across various sectors. Further, we've built a pipeline of over $2 billion to support tourism, energy, trade-enabling infrastructure, and manufacturing in all of the member states represented in the CARICOM where we operate.
The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, has approved a grant of $43.9 million to expand the support for over 200,000 vulnerable youth between the ages of 15 and 35 in Haiti. The program, according to the bank, is designed to reduce the risk of violence and exclusion by creating jobs and pathways to reintegration. The IDB said it combines paid community work with on-the-job training and entrepreneurship support. According to the IDB, more than 8,000 youths will take part in the Cash for Work Plus project. The Washington-based financial institution said 10 multipurpose youth centers will be rehabilitated and activated across the country.
Sports Night is brought to you by Power In. Pause is power. And by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after.
Let's head back over to the sports studio where Mark is standing by with the second half in sports. Mark?
As promised, Pan Am Games, there was limited success for Team Barbados on day 3 of the 2025 Junior Pan Am Games in Paraguay. Heidi Stout made it to the A final of the women's 200-meter freestyle, and she finished 5th. Swimming in lane number 7, Stout stopped the clock in a time of 2 minutes, 4.05 seconds. That's a new national 15 to 17 age group record. Meanwhile, Jaya Simmons was 8th in the B final of the women's 100 butterfly in 1 minute, 5.05 seconds. In other results, Victor Ashby was 4th in Heat 1 in the men's 100-meter flying. Then the team of Joshua Ross, Ashby, Simmons and Stout in the 4x100 freestyle mixed relay was 15th overall and therefore didn't qualify for tonight's final. In squash, Samara Suleiman lost in the women's singles round of 16, while Ebony Atherley lost in the round of 32. In the men's singles, Darian Ben and Alex Short were eliminated in the round of 16. In shooting, Brodella Ramchair finished 18th in the women's 10-meter air rifle qualification round. And in tennis, Lucas Davis lost to Yared Alfred of the U.S. Virgin Islands 7-5, 1-6, 4-6. In basketball, Barbados finished 3rd in Group A of the FIBA Basketball World Cup 2027 America's pre-qualifiers in Mexico. Playing in their final game of the pre-qualifiers against Costa Rica last night, Barbados won by 27 points, 83 to 56. CBC's Anmar Goodrich Boyce reports.
Tip-off time, final game of the pre-qualifiers. Bottom of the table clash featuring Barbados in the yellow and Costa Rica. The Bajans were fully active from the start. Caron Alexander starts from beyond the arc. Big 3. Alexander again driving forward. No room to shoot. Passes to Akeem Marsh. Call him Marshmallow. That was sweet. He ended with 13 points. Costa Rica were struggling with their defense, especially in the first quarter. Alexander this time steps inside, deep 2, on his way to a double-double, game high of 35 points and 16 rebounds. The Central Americans down by 8 early, finally on the board. Victor Arias makes this one count. But Barbados continue to dominate. Hurley to Marsh, down the lane, off the backboard and in. We go to the second quarter. Costa Rica moving up court. Check this out. George Shedden like a train. Move out the way. That's good. It was one Shedden to another. This time Daniel from three-point land. However, Alexander remained at the heart of all things good for Barbados. That's an easy bucket. Barbados led 41-31 at halftime. Barbados kept the lead throughout the third quarter, so let's skip ahead to the fourth. 3 minutes on the clock. Alexander still cooking. That's flavor to the pot. 3 more. And Carl Thorpe also got in on the action. The corner 3 is good. He also had a double-double of 15 points and 10 boards as Barbados went on to win 83-56. Anmar Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Thanks, Anmar. Barbados actually ended the pre-qualifiers in third place with a 1-2 record and 4 points, while Costa Rica finished fourth with 3 points from a winless campaign. Both teams have been eliminated from the Basketball World Cup qualifiers, while Mexico and Jamaica advanced to the next round from that group. That's it for sports. Lisa, back to you.
And that's news for tonight. On behalf of the entire team, thank you for tuning in. Good night.